Welcome to my dissertation defense. I hope that you enjoy. The title of the research that I selected was Transforming Campus Experiences for LGBTQ college-enrolled students in a southern state. This was written by Irene Kepler, and she's from the Capella University, and this dissertation was produced on August 2020. This presentation will defend the dissertation that was presented. Now let us talk a little about the research process. Students identify themselves as a member of the LGBTQ community, and this consists of lesbians, bisexuals, gays, transgenders, and queers. They face tremendous challenges due to their sexuality, so this qualitative action research was conducted to shed light on this situation and offer recommendations. Continuing the research process. Data was collected in the form of a 90-minute focus group of 6 individuals and 15 interviews ranging from 45 to 60 minutes. A sample of student members of a non-profit organization that serves the LGBTQ youth were used to participate in the research if they chose to. Flyers and social media were used to advertise the research, so the selection was done basically just on those who responded to the ad. More on the research process. Despite recent advancement in social and governmental understanding of the rights and needs of the LGBTQ community, discrimination against the community remains common, both in the public and in the private sector, and this is prominent on college campuses. This quote was taken from Sutter and Perrin 2016. Hate speech, physical abuse, sexual abuse, discrimination from students and staff, limited extracurricular activities to be a part of, and little to no boarding accommodations are just some of the many challenges that these students are facing due to their sexuality. Now let's look at the dissertation results. The researcher's main role was as an observer, and the interest in the topic was derived from a keen interest in LGBTQ issues in general. The changes in social norms that have been developed in recent years regarding the LGBTQ community individuals and their treatment are minute in terms of what needs to be done. Now, for the dissertation results, they all had positive experiences on campus, and those who shared some negative experiences had discussed the improvements that ensued and agreed that there was visual progress, even though they still faced negative situations. All but one of the participants shared that they could trust college staff and services. All participants described feeling accepted by others as a major element of them feeling safe. A prominent issue raised by students when the focus group was being interviewed was that they did not feel comfortable holding hands with their same-sex partner openly on campus. 6 participants agreed that the campus staff attempted to celebrate diversity, but from the field notes, they asserted faculty and staff had inadequate training to be fully inclusive, and they expressed a desire to have the school hang a rainbow flag to express support for the LGBTQ students. So they wanted to help, but they just were not fully equipped to help. They didn't know what to do. They needed to be trained. 3 students highlighted that the college staff allowed them to use their preferred names, which made them feel accepted and made their college experiences more positive. 7 participants stated that they felt unsafe and had negative experiences in college. 7 participants stated that they did not feel safe and did not have a positive college experience because the school staff did not promote and support diversity enough. That's so sad. 5 participants felt welcome because of the presence of a large number of organizations and events supporting them and their full expression. 5 participants stated that to feel affirmed, they need to feel visible. 3 students were not entirely comfortable or safe to hold hands or display affection towards their partners in public. They were scared. 12 participants stated that they had been victims of or witnessed hate speech on campus. 8 participants mentioned a preacher who visited the campus, spreading hate rhetorically and using religious texts to preach against the LGBTQ community. 5 students stated that they had experienced or witnessed some type of homophobia, and 1 student shared witnessing transphobia, which is a professor leaving the school during his transition due to discrimination. Now let's get to the exciting part, the oral defense and why is it important. Now there are certain things that needs to be in this oral defense. So pay attention, you might learn a thing or two. The first thing that needs to be there is an introduction. Now your introduction must include your research question, rationale, hypothesis, and definition of your key terms. Now even though they have already read the presentation, you have to sell your thesis just like a salesman advertises through an introduction to sell his product. Alright, so you gotta go out there and you gotta sell your product. It sets the stage and creates enthusiasm and make them see the passion and the drive that you have for your topic. Next is the research question or the hypothesis. This includes the thesis that you are trying to prove and the questions that the researcher is aspiring to answer. The panel needs to know what you are trying to prove and what questions should they have in the back of their minds that they are curious about. This provides an aim or destination for the research for them. So you're pretty much just telling them, hey, these are the things that you need to be looking out for because I am going to try and prove them to you at the end of my presentation. Next is the methodology. You've got to have a methodology. This includes the design, methodology, sample, instruments or questionnaires, and the procedures used to collect data. They need to know how you went about conducting your research and investigation. And this kind of helps to prove that you actually did the research on your own and you're not just making stuff up. They want you to take them through the process of how you collected the data, who you collected it from. They also want to know why you chose that method and what procedures were used to collect that data. The results, that's very important as well. Some persons are visual learners like myself. I love to see things. I want to see what you're talking about. So make sure that you include tables or figures summarizing your findings. They want to see the graphics when you are presenting. This is a way to visually captivate your audience and get them to form conclusion even before you have presented it to them. This is like the cement that the conclusion is going to dry to become the concrete. So you're pretty much setting the stage for them to buy into your defense. You know, you want them to be like, okay, well, this person knows what they're talking about, and based on what I am seeing in the images on the screen, then I can safely conclude that this is the case. In your oral defense, don't forget the conclusion. Why? Now, your conclusion can have reasons for new or unexpected findings. You want to put your contributions, limitations, practical implications, recommendations, and conclusion. But pretty much you want to focus specifically on the recommendations and conclusions. Why? They have a copy of your research already, but why do you think we need to focus on the recommendation and conclusion when we are orally defending our dissertation? Now, the dissertation conclusion is the final chapter of the thesis, wrapping up the research conducted and summarizing the key outcomes of a discussion section. This is pretty much the icing on the cake for the dissertation panel. So here is where you persuade them to be convinced that your thesis is actually true. Now guys, just to wrap things up, conclusion is the best moment to hit the final steps because everything is clear and fresh in their minds. In preparing an oral defense, just ensure you know the material. You gotta make sure you know the material. If you created it, then you gotta know the material. Narrow their focus, help them to see the direction in which you want them to see in. Include visual aids to make it exciting. You know, they are sitting there listening to you ramble on and on. But if you have visual aids, it will take their attention off you for a minute and put it on something that they need to focus on. And they will actually be seeing the information that you are presented. So put some visual aids in there. It won't hurt. Rehearse. Make sure you spend time practicing and rehearsing so that you don't miss anything. Be confident. Speak with confidence and let them be convinced that you know what you're talking about. Relax. Sometimes people can be very nervous and mess up this oral defense, but just try and relax and try being on time or being early. If you come early, it gives you time to relax, set up your room, and make sure everything is all right. And always, always, always bring a copy of your dissertation. All right. So they pretty much want you to make this presentation because they want to know what is your work about and where does it fit in your discipline. So as long as you make sure that you're answering those questions, you'll be fine. Now to wrap up our vlog, let us talk about our references, all right? So we have V. Ballester 2010, The Perfect Defense, the Oral Defense of our Dissertation. This is from Texas A&M University, and the link is right there. It's a YouTube video. You can go and watch it. The next reference we have is the Enego Academy. That's 2019. The topic is how to defend a dissertation. That's the link right there. You can go ahead and type it in and you get all the information. Last but by no means least is the actual research that we took our information from. So it was done by Irene Kepler, 2020. The topic is Transforming Campus Experiences for LGBTQ college enrolled students in a southern state. Now, this was done by a student from the Kaplan University, and the link is right there if you want to go and have an exciting read. I hope you enjoyed my vlog. Until next time, see you. Bye.